Welcome home, where we provide information, inspiration, and motivator after motivator after motivator here on America's Next. I have Lanell Williams here with me today. How you doing, Lanell?
Doing really, really well. It's good to see you. Thank you for having me on, Cedric. How are you?
I'm doing great. I live in New York, and so this is a time of year where we usually get a lot of snow.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm experiencing a fairly mild winter over here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'll take it, though. I'll take it.
You'll take it over the snow?
Yeah.
You'll take it over the snow?
Yeah.
We're having I live in Las Vegas, and we're having a warmer winter than usual. So, but I'll take it. I'll take it over 125 degrees in the summer any day. So.
Wow. Yeah. I guess mild winter beats extremely hot. But
Oh man.
I was one of those guys who I heard the talk about global warming. And I was very, very much fascinated by the glaciers melting off into the water, but I really didn't connect that to having milder winters. And so it's actually been dawning on me recently, like global warming is something that we should definitely continue to consider.
It's the real deal.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate each and every one of you for coming into the building. We're going to have a valuable discussion today. And as always, drop comments or questions in the comment area as we discover the story of Lanell Williams. Lanell, where are you from?
Originally, I'm from LA. I'm born and raised in LA. Born in Inglewood, raised in different parts of LA. So started off in Watts, and then I was in foster care for a while. So I bounced around from Watts to Compton to South LA, the Bellflower, the Linwoods, but I'm primarily from Los Angeles.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is why I love this show. I didn't know any of that about you.
Yeah.
When you talk about Watts and different areas of California, I immediately think Boys in the Hood. The movie. The messages that were portrayed in the movie.
Yeah.
And I'd like to get your thoughts on it. What are your thoughts on that movie?
I think what I'll say is I think what they were considered to be boys, and there are boys in the hood, but I don't think that it showed. The movie was a good movie. I don't think that it showed all of what South LA was about, and because there's so much more.
Okay,
much more. But it was a good movie. Wow, you've taken me all the way 25 years or so. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. There's truth to it. It was a great movie, but I think a few things were missing from Boys in the Hood. Yeah, like people that came out of the hood, all that stuff.
So that's what I look forward to getting into today. What was your reality in those areas of California?
Sure.
What was your childhood like?
It wasn't the easiest. I was my biological mother had me when she was 15 years old. So she was a young parent. And around 2 months old, the story that, as far as I know the story, she was in the kitchen at my grandmother's house, who I consider to be my mom. And she took out the trash, literally left the kitchen, took out the trash, and never came back. So I was raised by my grandmother until I was 13. And, my grandmother or my mother she's still alive. God bless her. I love her. But, she was born in Louisiana during a time where you raise kids. It's just a tough love way. And because of that tough love, it didn't work well for me. So I did go into foster care for 5 years, from 13 to 18, or 13 to 18, 13 to 19, something like that. And which was one of the best things that could have ever happened to me, was going into foster care. But I didn't come from a lot. I never knew until I was an adult that we didn't have a lot, because she took very good care of us at home. But it was an interesting childhood. I think more questions will give me the opportunity to give you a little more. But
yeah,
yeah,
the way that you talk about that period of your life, it lets me know that you have come a long way.
Yeah.
I can already tell you've come a long way. You've come so far that you actually have to settle down a little bit to reflect on that instrumental period of your life. That was the springboard for where you went. Now, I imagine you went somewhere among the stars. When we look at a 15-year-old who has a child, we look and we say, that's a baby having a baby.
Baby having a baby, yeah.
And it always looks like a tough life. It looks tough on the way to the bus stop. It looks tough in the grocery store. It looks tough when a 14-year-old is trying to have a parental conversation with a baby or about a baby. It all feels like this is going to be a tough time right here.
Yeah.
Dominique Russell is in here. She says grandmas are the best.
They are. Thank you, Dominique. They are.
And you have grandma at home who's thinking, I got to help my daughter.
Yeah.
In fact, I've got to redo the decade or two of my life that I spent raising you on my grandchild.
Exactly. My grandmother she was 34 and became a grandmother. Had to raise another kid. So, and she says it all the time. She was like, of course I did it for Lisa, my biological mother, but I did it for you. Like there was no way you were going to not be here. I'm here to raise you. And she did the best she could with what she knew. She did not do a bad job. She was just tough,
Right.
Tough. So, yeah.
Grandparents' love.
Oh man.
It's miraculous.
Oh man. Yeah.
When I think about my grandmother and my grandmothers, I'm like, how did you smile at me like that? How did you care so deeply?
Yeah.
Because as I look around in my life now, I can almost find it nowhere. I even find myself trying to see if I measure up to the love that I experienced from my grandmother. Do you ever think about that?
What I look at is, and it's a big part of my life, the way, and I had a lot of people in my life who were supportive of me growing up, but the way that she loved is a big part of why I love the way that I love. And she has been an example of what it means to be selfless, to do everything that she can for a child, and to love no matter what. So what I do is I look at that and say, if she could do that, then I can do this. Like I can love as well. I love hard, very similarly. Yep. But and do I see it today? I don't see it in the old school way of people loving on their kids. I don't really see grandparents doing it that way. It's a different time.
It's a different time. That's right.
It's a different time.
Now, how old were you when you went into foster care?
13.
13. You knew what was going on in your life when you went into foster care.
I did. Yeah.
Where did you think that you were going?
I didn't know where I was going. Yeah. The sheriffs came and picked me up and took me. Where did I go? I think I went to DCFS's office in LA, and they dropped me off not far from where I was living. They've passed on now, but it was a family, the White family, John White and his wife, and they became like another set of. My grandmother was never my grandmother; she was always my mother. So they became my grandparents at that point, and I stayed with them for 3 years, and then they were aging, and needed to change how they were fostering. So I moved out I was the first foster child with another family out in Compton. So, but where did I didn't know. What did seem in alignment for me was it just felt right. I felt like whatever was about to happen, I trusted it even back then, and said that whatever's getting ready to happen is part of my life. I'm going to go for it. And it was true. I've heard, I used to sit on the board of directors of an organization called California Youth Connection, which is still in existence. They do really amazing work to lobby and support foster kids. And I've heard countless stories, horror stories, of people in foster homes and group homes and all of that. And that was not my experience. I don't have a horror story. It was, in that time of my life, it was exactly what I needed. I became an entrepreneur at 13 and have been ever since. I had traveled around the world starting around the age of 14, one with CYC, all throughout California, working on behalf of other foster children, and then started going to Switzerland and Africa and other places, doing other kinds of work at a very young age. It wouldn't have happened unless I had been in foster care. It literally, and I see it there, it enhanced my life. It was extremely beneficial to me. I did not have the horror story, but I have empathy for people that do. I've seen it. I just never experienced it myself. I'm lucky that way. I was blessed that way not to have any of that stuff happen to me.
I think it's phenomenal that you had a positive foster care experience. Yeah. After all, that is what a lot of people set out to do. They set out to have a positive impact in the life of a child who needs more love. They need more guidance. They need more people to help them to move along in the wilderness that is life.
Yeah.
And much respect to the people who set out to do that. Social workers, all the people, the policymakers, the organizations, the special people.
Yeah.
Because you are an example of a job well done.
Oh man. So, and I had to give it off to, there were so many people that had my back as a kid, and from my grandmother to my social workers to the people that I self-adopted as my godparents back then, just because I wanted that love. Pam Woods, the Simigrands, lots of people, the Mitchells, tons of people who said, you know what you're not going to do is fall through the cracks. And I was a terror in middle school. I was bored, so I would act out. I got expelled from Gompers Middle School for throwing a chair at a teacher. And then I went to Henry Clay after that. And then I left Henry Clay and went to a non-public school because I had severely emotionally challenging issues that needed to be addressed in non-public school. And it was, first of all, I'm in foster care, so I'm SED automatically, according to, society at that point. And the attention that I thought that I needed, I wasn't getting, at least in school. And I was bored with school back then. So for all the people that kind of coddled me and have helped bring me to where I am today, I needed that tribe. I still love my tribe. And it did mold me to who I am today. I'm not gonna lie, I was not the easiest person as a kid. So not bad, just wasn't the easiest kid to deal with. So,
yeah, and that's normal.
Yeah.
You've been taken out of your original society, if you will. You've been placed in a whole nother society. And so listen, sometimes you're gonna wake up, you're gonna have feelings that you can't explain.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember?
Okay. Huh? And I was just saying, even back then, I was still living with my grandmother at the time. I had attempted to commit at 11 or 12, attempted to commit suicide. They put me on pills. One night, I got up, middle of the night, and took a ton of the pills. I don't remember what it was, Ritalin or something. I thought it was time for me to go. And all it did was make me hallucinate. I was seeing spiders all night. And my grandmother said, look, I don't know what happened and what you did, but we're going to go to the hospital because you're seeing spiders everywhere, and there are no spiders. So, but it was like, and it's not like it's a sob story of that I've had. My story was not that bad, but back then, it didn't. My biological mother is gone. I had never met my father, still haven't, and for me, it was like life has to be better than this. If not, then maybe I should just go. But the love that was around me even then was what I wasn't seeing was happening. I didn't see all that love. It just on the outside, when I'm looking at other people's lives, it was just, why is my life so much different than theirs?
Right.
That's painful. But the amount of love that my tribe gave me carried me. I'm 38, so it carried me a long time.
You are and you were an intelligent. You were a very intelligent person. You thought, my life's got to be better than this, and I want to change my life. You were looking for ways to change your life.
Yeah.
A kid can't think of a million ways to change their life, you know. But
that'll be a good book, though, Cedric. You might want to get on that.
What happened?
That'll be a good book, though. You might want to get on that.
Okay. Hold on. Explain. What book? What title?
A book for kids, A Million Ways to Change Your Life.
Ooh, wee. Yep. Somebody hashtag that. It was born right here on America's Next Motivator.
There you go.
Absolutely.
There you go.
There was a Verizon commercial several years ago, and everywhere this gentleman went, he had a whole network with him. And I always looked at that commercial, and it reminded me of my life. You seem to have had that very same network with you. Everywhere you went, there was a network with you, just like the Verizon commercial.
Yeah.
I want to know, though, what did you learn along the way when you got placed with that family, the first family you said that were sort of like your grandparents? What did you learn from them?
Well, first I learned independence. I was sheltered up until that point, so I learned very quickly how to do what I needed to do for me to take care of me. There was a house full of kids, a house full of boys. I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 of us in there. So not that my foster parents weren't taking care of us, because they were, but it was still like, you got to do what you have to do for yourself, because there's so many people here. So I learned independence quickly. And my foster father was also an entrepreneur. A black man, an older black man. He owned oil wells. He owned all kinds of stuff, and was a preacher, and like he did a lot. And for him, I was too young to get a job at that point, 13 years old. And he said, "Well, why don't you just do something on your own?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Why don't I just do something on my own? I can't go get a job." And he's saying, "Well, you don't." I think I was selling candy or something like that out of the house. He said, "What you're doing with this candy stuff, you're selling candy on the block. You need to go sell it in the park. Go get a shopping cart, build a couple of shelves on it, and sell." I think it was the summertime, so go sell candy, go sell ices, go do all that. He took me to Spartan Final. I stole a shopping cart. Sorry, and brought it home, built it, had a candy cart in the park the whole summer, and then decided maybe a month in, I was like, man, I can also just bring somebody else in, so I can focus on maybe bringing in more items or selling in another cart. So I ended up having one of my foster brothers was an employee of mine, because he worked with me and I built another cart. So first, the biggest thing I think was independence, and then learning how to stand on my own 2 feet and do what I got to do for myself. Back then, financially, it was just, I wanted to work, board at home. What am I going to do? So independence. I also learned how to have fun. It was just me at home with my grandmother. So, and I had my own room. I had, stuff that kids may not have had in that part of LA at that time of their lives. But she made sure I kept busy. I had everything I would need at home, but it was just me, and she was always working. So I was an introvert, didn't really like playing outside with people. So when I got to the foster family, there were more people there. I learned to have fun, and I was like, oh, this this is interesting. I can have fun with other people that are my age. So,
so you're an adventure.
Yeah, it was.
You know those movies, Ernest. Ernest goes to camp. Ernest goes to jail. Ernest goes to zoo. It was like Lanell goes to foster care.
and it was definitely an adventure. It really was.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much money did you make selling candy?
Oh, that's cute. Back then it was a lot. I think I was making maybe like $200 a week or something like that. Profiting like $200 a week or something like that from the candy and the icy. You know, those little. I think they still have them. Those the ices in the plastic that you just you put in, those big pops or whatever they were called. A bunch of stuff, whatever people wanted, chips, the whole 9 yards. I would ask people, "Hey, what do you want? I'll go get it." Mr. White would take me to Smart and Final almost every other day, and I think it was something like $200 and something a week. Is what I was. But back then, I didn't have any bills. It was just money if I wanted to get something extra. So
no, you're being modest. You're being modest because
thank you, Orlando. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, that's great. To all the young people out there, be encouraged. If you have an idea, go ahead and start your business. Whatever you like, whatever you're into, start a business.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
I tell people that same thing all the time. I work with entrepreneurs a lot, and people say, "Well, I'll just wait. I'll wait, until even young entrepreneurs. I'll wait until I can be successful when I'm an adult." And I'm like, "Look, man, you do not in today's age. You do not wait any time to start a business to get something going. All it takes is for you to put in the work and make it happen." I was listening to someone posted something about Arnold Schwarzenegger this morning, and he was talking about Muhammad Ali, and he said Muhammad Ali was in a gym being interviewed by some sportscaster, and he was doing sit-ups, and the sportscaster asked him, he says, "Well, Ali, when do you count your sit-ups?" He says, "I start counting my sit-ups when I start feeling pain. I don't start counting them until after that." Like his commitment to work was impeccable. So it could be, you could be 10. You can be almost any age. If you understand what you're doing, put in the work and make it happen to get the result that you want. Like, that's all it really takes. It's not rocket science.
That's right.
Especially today. You can start a business from your phone. So it's like, just go do that.
There's a teenager and a young adult who could be listening to this show tonight, and they're feeling compelled because you said, go ahead and start your business now. You said go out there and do the work now.
Yeah.
What does that mean? What is the first step?
Sure. So have an idea. If you don't have an idea, you can Google business ideas 2021, something like that. Mm-hmm. Look at what comes up. Look at the lists. Look at all of the information that comes up and says, you know what? I think I'll be interested in doing this. Some people, no matter the age, some people don't even know what their passion is yet. They haven't gone into the depths of their brains and kind of figured out, what's my mission in life? What do I want to do? That doesn't mean you can't make money. That doesn't mean you cannot progress. So let me back the train up a bit. If you have a passion and you want to turn that into business, then first put that on paper. Write it out. Write down what it is that you want to do. Write it down. Write down why you want to do it. Come up with why you want to do the thing you want to do. A lot of times entrepreneurs stop going and stop thriving because a lot of our motivation sometimes is only money. And when I work with people, I'm like, you're saying that money is the motivator, but it might not be money. What do you want the money for? Oh, well, I want to spend more time with my family. Okay, so you want more time. What else do you want the money for? Well, I want to travel. Okay, you want more freedom. Let's focus on that rather than just, I want to make, for example, $200,000 a year. You want to make $200,000 a year, but that's not the bottom line. You want to be able to have the lifestyle you want. You want to be able to spend time with your family. You want to be able to go places and do things that are comfortable for you, that you would like to do. So have that thought. This is what I want to do. This is why I want to do it. And then like you were talking about, what is the network that you can tap into to help you do that?
That's right.
And be bold. For many years, I was the quiet guy, not saying what I'm doing, not sometimes too prideful to ask for help with businesses and doing all of that. And I had to move away from that because it's like, if I'm selling something or doing something, I'm providing value to somebody else. I'm not just in it for just me. I'm also providing them with a service or a product or something like that. So I should be okay with that. I'm valuable. What you want from me has value. Pay for it. So like that is, and being bold enough to ask. Some people don't ask to be paid. Some people don't ask for anything of value monetarily because sometimes we don't even know our own value.
When you, as you began to thrive as a teenager and moving into your high school years, were you involved in any programs that helped you to grow legs from a business standpoint, grow confidence, and say, listen, I'm in this for a value exchange, and I just need to figure out how to get out there in society and get that value exchange? What programs were you in?
Wow. That I did do a lot. My favorites, there was and I'll get how it all relates to business because it seems like that's the question. But when I was 16 or 17, I went to a program in Aspen, Colorado called, it no longer exists, but it was an Aspen grassroots experience. They brought young people from across the country, from inner cities or vulnerable kids, to Aspen, Colorado. We were in host families' homes in Aspen. So you got a bunch of Black and brown kids from inner cities across the country living with extremely wealthy people who are saying, I need you to come here and know that this exposure that you have can be yours. These families they're rich, yes, but you're talking about people that were real estate agents and people that worked all their lives and decided to retire in Aspen. Like, it was just, and for me, I went when I was 16 and 17. I was like, and the family that I was with, I'm still close to their another family to me. And even then, it's like, what we have, you can have it. Like, you just got to go work for it. And that exposure to that lifestyle was like, for me back then, I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be humble. I want to experience life similar to how these people are doing it. But I want to have it be comfortable, and I want to have it be this way. So that exposure early on showed me there's a whole other side to life than Inglewood, Compton, Watts, Bellflower, Linwood, and Compton, all the places that I was. Like, there's a whole other side to life. Let's get to that side to life. So grassroots was one. CYC was another, because it showed me government and policy making and going up and meeting with congressional leaders, senators, and doing all that kind of work across the country. Was at 14, 15, 16 years old. That's huge. For me, I was just doing the work. We're here to do the work. Looking back, I'm like, that was profound. I couldn't, like, every kid should be able to do something like that.
That's right.
That took me to another program, an organization called Anti-Self-Destruction. One of my self-adopted godparents, Willie Mitchell, runs that. They took us to Geneva, Switzerland for about a month. And we would be in Switzerland at the United Nations. I was a youth ambassador for the UN. Again, exposure. Saying yes. Somebody said, Lanell, do you want to go try this out? That's scary, but sure. Let's go. Let me find out. What do I have to do? So we were photojournalists. We were researchers. We were ambassadors for some of the stuff you were talking about on the beginning of this session, climate change and all that. That was 20 years ago. We were able to work with people from all around the world at the United Nations to help impact change. And then in high school, Interact Club, which is a part of Rotary. So I learned a lot about business from them. Young Black Scholars. Gosh, I don't know, man.
A lot of things, right?
Yeah.
Before we go to the break, I gotta shake the room up. Gotta shake the room up a little bit.
Sure.
How do we get those experiences to more youth in our cities? Not just for foster kids.
Mm-hmm.
We know a lot of young people who grow up just like foster kids who never get put in foster care. Whether whether it be a positive or not so positive life experience.
Right.
Young people need more immersive experiences that can open their eyes to the possibilities of life. What do you see that we can do to get more of those experiences to people under 15 years old?
Yeah. Thank you for that question. My biggest thing for kids is exposure. Putting them out there, letting them see what life is about. And what I would say is, there are tons of organizations that do this. They do great work. They bring young people out to places. They get exposure in some way. What I do believe is that sometimes parents have a lack of resources. They don't even know that they can reach out and tap into networks and say, I have a 14-year-old, like you said, whether or not they're in care. I have a 14-year-old child, I have a 13-year-old child, I have a 12-year-old child, I have a 10 or 11-year-old child who needs guidance. My grandmother put me into a program that made almost everything about my life came from this program. It's called the ACE program. There's a video of me when I was 11 years old at that program. It was a 3-day character development workshop, again, for kids that are vulnerable, got issues, and they took us camping, changed my life. Took us camping for 3 days and taught us how to look at ourselves in an inner mirror and look at all the good things about ourselves and focus on that. Focus on the good within rather than the challenges on the outside. So I think for me, and my mom might have just been putting me in that thing because she wanted me to be gone for a weekend. So she can, do her thing. She was young. She was probably in her 40s at that point. So she wanted to have some fun. Champ, my nickname is Champ. Champ, you gotta go. You're going to this camp. I know you don't like it, but you're going anyway. The best thing that could have happened.
You know what?
Me going to care. But people have to. I want parents to know it's okay to ask for help. It's definitely okay to ask for help. Nothing wrong with that. You're doing this for your child. Find resources. And, I was kind of forced into some of the things that I did, but good. Kids sometimes, especially these days, do not like to do stuff. They'd rather sit on their, iPad or phone and play on it rather than do something that is really going to be powerful and life lasting. So parents, I would say, just look for stuff. There's so much available.
Right. And
if it's not available, create it.
It.
Make it so that it can become available. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you've been with me for this journey, then you know that I have set out to produce exactly what we're talking about in this situation right here. Camp had a tremendous impact on my life. Leadership programs had a tremendous impact on my life. As I got older, it was plain as day, clear and plain.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm just such a great, cool, talented person. It's the experiences that open your eyes.
Yeah.
The experience, they open your eyes as soon as you get there.
Yeah.
You could be an angry kid. I never seen a kid fighting at a place like Discovery Zone, camp. These are places that are so broad versus what you've experienced before that it's like, okay, you're opening my mind without me even working.
Right.
And so I'm like, listen, let's create a solution and let's make it just as available as McDonald's.
Exactly.
Why do we have to look so hard for a place that does the things that opens our minds up? And that's the gap that I stand in. That's the gap that you've experienced and that you're speaking on today. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back with more from Lanell Williams. America's Next Motivator, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern. America's Next Motivator, hosted by me, Cedric Riley, and sponsored by the Pride Empowerment Network. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we're into a great conversation right now. I'd like for you to like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, text and tag a friend, get someone else into the building with us, drop a comment or a question. Let's do this together. Lanell, how you feeling out there?
I'm really good, man. I'm really good. I'm on the break just reflecting on how powerful this work is that you're doing and how grateful I am that you're doing it. It's necessary. So, but I'm good.
Yeah, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you come here with a seamless description of not only what you've been through, but what we can do going forward to make sure that other young people have experiences like you had.
Yeah.
And that's what this platform is meant to do. Everybody didn't have a negative experience in care, but we want to make a case study out of both. We need stories like yours to figure out what can we do right, what happened right with Lanell. So talk to us about what you did upon college years.
Yeah, I took an unconventional route. I did most of my college work online. Harvard has an extension program that, because I was already working, I was really busy, and it took me I was started at UCLA for a while, and then I would stop and then go back and all that. So over the years, I said, you know what? Although I'm in my career already, I've always been an entrepreneur. I still want the paper. So I now finally am finishing I'll be done in about 3 years with my PhD in business from a school called the International School of Management. So that I've done other work in what's called spiritual psychology at a place called the University of Santa Monica. I've done tons of other trainings and tons of other educational things all my life, but my primary focus has always been business and then elevating other people. My nickname in life is the elevator. That's my job.
Nice.
My job.
Let's make this a victorious moment for our listeners and people who watch this in retrospect. Let's educate one another. Let's educate our community on what you see as a positive vision for our communities. Go ahead and talk on it.
Sure. When I look at, you were talking about like the hood,
mm-hmm.
what I would see, and I do my part of my work is helping to make this happen, is communities that are supportive of people in the communities are supportive of each other. That the resources that we're talking about, that exposure, you can, just like there in a lot of places, there's a liquor store on the corner across the street, there's a church, and then a hotel or a motel, usually not far from that. As easy as it is to pop up or find one of those, like you were saying, those resources have got to go into the community. One big one, and I love there's an organization called Operation Hope that does this. One huge one, especially for people of color, is financial literacy, making sure that you tap into how to make sure your credit works, how to make sure that you're managing your finances properly, and making sure that you're not overspending, that you're budgeting, all that stuff. So one is access to really good financial education, making sure that, for me, kids have access to programs that help them to really be inspired from within, have a reason to live, find some purpose really early on. Like, that is important. And then their families, the same thing. One thing that I really, especially for my people, what I would love for people to do, Black people, or African American, whatever the term is that works for you, I'd love for us to be okay with going to programs that are going to help us mentally, help us to grow. A lot of times what I've seen is people are like, no, I'm fine. I don't need help. I don't need to go to this training to learn how to better myself. I'm doing just fine. I think it's extremely important. Go find Les Brown. Go do a Tony Robbins workshop. Do anything that will really, really help you to grow from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing that since I was 11, and I still make mistakes. I still screw up. Every day I do something that is a mistake. But because the tools are in there, and because I consistently do the work, it helps me to keep going.
Would you say that we need programs going forward? When should the programs stop?
They shouldn't.
They shouldn't stop. They shouldn't stop.
This should be permanent.
That's right.
And the program should be permanent and improving, changing with the times, making sure that it can be impactful perpetually. Like the programs, you should get educated on self-improvement and self-empowerment and living on purpose. That should start from before you can talk. So if you're going to a nursery school, part of their curriculum should be, how do I make sure that these kids are self-empowered, living on purpose? And then, like, until the day we pass on, like that.
You know what?
Continuous.
You know what? You're speaking toward the actual intersection of success and failure. What do you know before you're an effective speaker? Which brings the ownership really to our families. And we're always opening it up to everybody's family. What could we be doing in our families to, that part? What could we be doing in our families to prepare our children to look at the world the correct way, to talk and respond to questions in a proper way, and to go out there and demand value for their lives? I've never been more inspired as times when I'm talking to a 6-year-old from an area where I'm not from, already wants his or her first million, already wants his or her first business, has already been to Disney World and overseas. I'm inspired. What should we be doing in our families before we really jump off the porch? Talk about it.
The first thing I would say is to love first.
Yep.
Through everything. For parents, foster parents, whatever the class you are in, it's like how do I how do I self-love first so I can bring that loving into my family? Because if there's a love will solve all the problems if you're willing to do it. I know people go through issues with finances and get divorced because of money. And I'm like, I get it, but can you love through that anyway? Can you figure out a way to stay together, even though the finances are in turmoil? Talk to each other openly. Listen to each other openly from that place of loving, not judgment. It's not easy. I'm not pretending like this is some Pollyanna easy thing that everybody can do. It's not easy, but I would say to make sure that you are communicating with each other. And not just screaming and hollering. There's a way to communicate something without screaming and hollering all the time.
That's right.
When you're always yelling, it's like, I don't want to talk to you, because like a child to a parent, or vice versa, I don't want to talk to you because all you do is yell. And then you don't get to the point. You don't get to love each other because you don't even want to communicate. So love, communicate, practice that, and accept each other for who you are. Everybody in the family.
That's big.
I think a lot of times, nothing against how people parent at all, but a lot of times when we grow up, we try to live in the opinion of our parents as adults. We try to live in the dream that they have for us, which is in some ways, sure, do that, but also don't be afraid to live the way that you need to because of who you are.
That's right.
So I would accept each other, uplift each other. Siblings who fight, that's like sandpaper. You're going to continue to go against the grain with each other until you're so refined that all you have is that smooth paper. So relationships are like that. You're going to fight.
So we're refining each other. We're refining each other.
All we are in families, we're mirrors of each other. That's why we get on each other's nerves a lot.
That's right.
We're looking at each other. In relationships, it's the same thing. I'm just looking at someone that is exactly like me, which is why some things annoy me that other person is doing. That's just work I got to do on me.
Right. Yeah.
And if we look at that in our families and say, whatever I'm annoyed by you is really me just having an issue inside of my brain. I shouldn't be annoyed by that. Let me go work on that.
Another thing that I want to add here is when we get to this intersection, I'm sure so many people have thought about it. If I could just have the right conversations and the right experiences in my home before this child gets older, then I will have laid the groundwork, And we see so many different outcomes. And I've been in barbershop conversations where people say, you can have a great household, you could do all the raising you want, you can have all the conversations you want, and a child could still go off and do what is perceived as the wrong thing. I got to add this to the conversation. We've got to begin to understand how big somebody really is. You're not just a body, you're also a big, big personality. And in order for me to really communicate with the whole apparatus that is you, I've got to use more than words.
Yeah.
I think that we need to use imagery. Look at how people communicated all throughout the world in years past, times past. Images, a symbol says so much more than your whole dictionary. And you're yelling a whole dictionary. They're not going to understand that, right? But if I could sit you down and say, you know what, Lanell? You know what, Cedric, Rebecca, Chastity, whomever, Alexis, Siani, Mayani, your mind is a galaxy. Let's break that down. What does it mean? Let's make it mean something.
Yeah. So I want to back something up because we were talking about parents and home before I get into that, which is, I love this topic. The University of Santa Monica, where I got my certification in spiritual psychology, our teachers there, Ron and Mary Holnick, have this saying for parents: you are not responsible for how your kids turn out. Like as hard of a truth as that might seem like, you can do everything, but it's up to like you're saying, it's up to that person, that bag of bones inside of that body. It's up to that person and that person's personality to say, I want to live my life a good way, or I want to live my life a bad way. It's a choice that only that person is going to make. They can come from a perfect background. Silver spoons, gold spoons, toilets made of platinum. It's just, but if they decide that they don't want to live a good life, that's them deciding that. You are not responsible for how your kids turn out. You can do all the loving, do the job. But if they decide that they want to turn out a certain way, that is not your fault. that is their choice. That is our choice. That's what we have in this life. First is choice. On your mind is a galaxy. What I encourage people to do, especially in families, is to create treasure maps. Create something like, as a family, what do we want? Jimmy, this is what you want in your life. Let's get the images out. Let's put them on the wall. Jane, here are yours. Mom, Dad, here are yours. As a family, we're going to look at that. We're going to say, this year, this is our treasure map. This is what I want in my life. And those images are powerful. Our brains are like plants. If the soil is up in here and you're planting good images and good thoughts and good practices, good habits, you're planting all those good seeds in the soil. What starts to happen is you get good results in life.
Right.
So what grows from within you is amazing. Not that it's not challenging, but when you're planting images and seeds of goodness, exactly, Dominique, vision boards, treasure maps, so many, they're powerful. They attract to you exactly what you want. We all have this thing in the back in our head called the reticular activating system.
What is it?
It is part of us that gives us what we want one way or another, good or bad. It's like you can like a car, and you like it so much that all of a sudden you see that car everywhere. As soon as you started liking it and you decided you wanted one, the car is everywhere because the RAS says, "Do you want it?" So I give it to you. Right. It also works the opposite way. There could be a person who you do not want to see. You don't want to talk to them. You don't even like them, and you say, "Man, I hope I don't see so and so today." But the reticular activator system doesn't know the difference between what you want and what you don't want. It just says, "This is what you're focusing on. I'm going to give it to you." The person you don't like, they pass by, and they're like, "Man, I knew I was going to see this, but I didn't want to see him." Or a person you really want, you haven't talked to in a while, you think about him, and they call you. You literally brought that in. That's right. We're extremely powerful people. Humans are ridiculously powerful. We can create anything that we want in our lives, and the power lives right up in here.
Would you say that we've got far too many people who are not tapping into their entire power reserve? Like they're not using the powers that they have.
Yeah.
And this is children and adults. Would you say that?
I'd say yes, that is true. People are not tapping into it, but I would also say something else. I also believe that people are doing the best they can with what they know at that time. Mm-hmm. So they may not even be aware of the fact that they can tap into some other well of knowledge, another well of energy that they have inside. I can't fault somebody for not knowing something. I can encourage you to learn, but I can't fault you for not knowing. So I believe, yeah, people are not using their power, but they may not even know that they can.
That's right.
That's our job. Our job is to help make sure that people know that they have that power, that they can use it, give them the resources, the platform, the tools to help them use that power even more.
Talk about the work that you do today.
Depends on what day it is, man. That is, I do a lot. I do a lot. I'm a business owner. I own 7 different companies. But more importantly than the businesses, there's an organization that I work with called the Educare Foundation. We do what's called heart-centered education. We do it around the world. We help people, primarily children, but anybody that works with kids. We help people to really see who they are and live in that way. So I'm a facilitator of that work. I also am the chairman of an organization called AFGO. We help companies in developing parts of the world to be built. And our primary partners are the World Bank and the United Nations. What else? So much. I'm an elevator. My job is to help people to be uplifted. And I do that a lot. I'm a son. I'm a godfather. I'm a nephew. I'm an uncle. So those are my better jobs. But an author. I mean, I do a lot.
Who are your top 3 favorite elevators of all time? Only three.
That's unfair. That is such an unfair.
All right. Okay. Take. How many you want? You want 5? You want 5 because
man. I mean, I see. I'm lucky. I've had so many people directly in my life that they're big time.
We're down. We are down to the last 45 seconds of the show. Let's go.
Top few.
Down to 3 again, right?
A guy named John Roger, another guy named John Morton, may not be known to everybody. One of my godfathers, Stu Grant, who does a lot of work in the world. And then mainstream folks, I'd say, I know everybody says this and does this, but Oprah is one of them because of just the power that she uses from within her. Mm-hmm. I got a list, man.
Okay.
Those are big ones.
We are rounding third base quickly here. I've had a great time with you today. And I just got a few questions as we round out third base. The first, what is survival to you?
Ooh. doing the best you can with what you have. That's survival.
What is success to you?
Living in a way that, I have it on my wall. Create a way of living that makes you enough. So success is creating a way of living that makes you enough. That's
creating a way of living that makes you enough.
Right.
What is greatness?
Greatness. Can I answer that with a question? That'll be my answer.
Yep.
It's what I keep on my desk. If you knew you were God, would you still doubt yourself? If you knew you were a part of God, would you still doubt yourself? So greatness for me is living in that power of whatever you believe in, if you believe in some sort of energy or power, it's like greatness to me is living in that and allowing that to live through yourself, from like the capital S self, like from your highest.
One more dynamite comment from you, that we are connected to God. We're connected to God in your perspective.
It's in the word human. The word "hu" in man and human means God. It means that this symbol on my right here is what is called a hu. It's a Sanskrit symbol meaning God. And
hold up.
What?
Hu means God.
Hu means God.
Lanell, I want to let you know that I've listened to your story today. I've heard your journey. I've heard the inspiration that you took and used. Your life has been full of achievement, and we appreciate that today. We're giving you your respect while you're still here to receive it. Ladies and gentlemen, get your crown emojis ready. We're giving you your crown today while you can still receive it. We're letting you know, letting the world know that you, Lanell Williams, are America's next motivator.
That's funny. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Wow.
Absolutely. Thanks for stopping by today, all right?
Say that again.
Thanks for stopping by today, all right?
I appreciate you. Thank you for the work that you do, Cedric. It is amazing. You are amazing. So thank you.
Yes, sir. You still got hearts and crowns coming into the building. I just want to put them on the screen. All right.
I love it. Thank you, everyone. It's so good to be here with you.
For sure. Talk to you later.
All right now.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Each and every episode of America's Next Motivator is going to have something here for you. All you've got to do is stop by and pick it up.